we're shifting our focus now to movement principle number 5, which kind of circles us back down to the pelvis. Movement principle number 5 specifically is titled Descending the Femurs, right? So it's helpful to kind of conceptualize so that we're all on the same page what exactly in the part of our body that we're looking at, right? So the femurs are your thigh bones, right? So your thigh bones, your upper thigh bones, or the upper leg, excuse me, right? So what does descending the femurs mean, right? So when we're looking at the femurs here, it's similar, right, to in kind of shape like this. You have the head of the femur, you have the long bone, it's the longest bone in your body, and then the other end of it is the upper half of your knee, basically, right? So you have the patella, and then you have the thigh bone or the femur. So to give us a kind of focus and framework for our class today, we're looking specifically at the head of the femur, right, and how it sits in the hip socket. Okay, so when we're talking about descending the femur, we're talking about taking the ball of the socket and then pushing it straight back into the hip socket. Oftentimes, there's two common places that people habitually stand in their bodies, right? One is where the tailbone is tucked under, right, in kind of slouched position, which then in turn creates a little bit of posterior tilt, right? So if you imagine that your hips were, you can follow along here with me, right? You can stand. If your hips are here leveled and then you have water, right? Your hips are a bowl, right, full of water. Somebody who has a tucked pelvis, right, will begin to spill the water behind them, right? So that bowl of water will start to spill behind. And just like we learned, everything is pretty much, it's a good line of inquiry to always think like, okay, so if I'm in this position, how does this affect and impact my spine, right? How does this affect and impact my spine, right? So in this position, right, the tailbone is tucking under, the water, the pelvis, and the hips are spilling behind us, and it creates a flattening of the lower back, right? So this is oftentimes a common position that people find themselves in. Also, another kind of general stance that's common is that the thighs are thrust forward. I mean, I'm exaggerating here, right? But you can sense and see here that the thighs are being thrusted forward out of the hip sockets, and then the knees are getting drawn back. They're getting pushed back behind the thigh bones, right? And some of the issues here is now there's some compression, a little bit of hyperextension, right? Depending on how exaggerated or extreme this thrust of the thigh bones are, right? So that immediately above that, there's going to be some compression in the SI joint or the sacral iliac joint. And so what movement principle number 5 is asking us to do, right, is to kind of take a balance and gauge what, oftentimes when we're kind of standing in line, right, it's a nice kind of reminder for ourselves is that when we're just kind of standing around, right, and you practice the art of paying attention, right, or becoming aware of what's happening, right? And in particular, this kind of form of practice, yoga that we're practicing is asana based or physical based, right? So that's a good way to kind of start and sharpen and nourish our awareness, is just starting to begin to notice like how we stand when we're not really paying attention, right? What happens when you pay attention? You kind of notice like, oh yeah, I'm kind of standing here in the line and my hips are thrust forward, or you kind of carry and stand here like this where the knees are a little bit forward and the thighs are thrust back, right? So through the movement principles, it kind of gives us a little bit of guidance and directions of where is that center line, right? It kind of to the efforts and returns, right? It kind of gives us the two extremes. And it's kind of up to us with each moment to kind of get a gauge and sense of like, okay, which side of that line, that center line am I sitting in, right, in my body, right? So when we descend the femurs, or we take the femurs and we place them, right, you can use your hands here at the top of your thighs. Then when you begin to descend them or thrust them back into your pelvis, right, and I'm kind of exaggerating, your butt starts to, there's an anterior tilt, or your pelvis starts to spill forward, right? And this is kind of an exaggerated effort, right? Thrusting or thrusting it in the opposite direction, right? Descending the femurs back into the hips. And then the return would be now to take the sacrum and then anchor it down towards the floor, right? That requires you to begin to engage your lower belly. Now you can do this too much, right? Now it can begin to thrust forward, right? So with the movement principles, the idea here is to find that center line, to draw and press the thighs back, right? Nope, I did it too much. And then take my sacrum and engage my lower belly to create that posterior tilt again, and then come back to the center. Right? We are going to dive into back bending. And essentially what that means is spinal extension, right? Extension. So what that looks like is here, right? So let's say from this profile view, the spine is in neutral. And then from here, if I start to kind of go in this direction in the sagittal plane, that's a flexed position. And then when I start to bend back, right, literally heart openers, oftentimes that's, they're referred to as that as well in kind of the yoga language, or back bends, right? You begin to create extension in the spine. How this is related to movement principle number 5 is that oftentimes what is happening, or what happens in extension, we can always kind of trace it back and investigate the spine to kind of get a sense of what's happening, right? So in the beginning of the semester, we talked about the different directions of the spine, right? There's a lordotic curve and a kyphotic curve, right? Lordotic just really means like it curves towards the front of your body, and the example of that in the areas of your spine is your neck curves that way, right? It curves towards the front. And then your upper back has a kyphotic curve and it curves towards the back. And then your lower back, or your lumbar spine, curves towards the front. And then your sacrum and tailbone kind of dip under and curve towards the back again, right? So there's these areas, very specific areas in the spine that kind of create these little turning points, right? And so in back bending in particular, it's going to be very easy, right, to kind of tilt the head back, or here in the sense in the lower back is to start to thrust back and then really bend into the lower back. And that's primarily because they're shaped in that direction, right? And so oftentimes, especially for those who are pretty new, not just to yoga, but just kind of getting a sense of like what you're doing with yourself and your body, that oftentimes there's a lot of effort, right? There's a lot of effort in the sense of like true effort, like you're really trying to get the pose right or make it look a certain way, but also in the sense of effort and return, right? There's a lot of trying in that direction, right? And so when we begin to move into back bends, oftentimes, just from my experience with working with a handful of different people, but then also just kind of having an understanding of the anatomy of the body, right? When we begin to do back bends, people tend to like thrust their head back, right? And then also, you know, we've commonly done a lot of cobras and stuff like that, right? So, but we're on our belly, so it's not as exaggerated, But oftentimes when people start to bend backwards, a lot of it is initiated in the lower back. And so when we descend the femurs, that creates a balance, right? So when I'm beginning to bend backwards here, I continue to thrust my thighs back, right? Bend backwards, thrust my thighs back, bend backwards, thrust my thighs back. So I'm continuously descending the femurs into the hips to create stability in the pelvis, right? And you can keep doing that, you know, to your edge, right? Just kind of begin to explore. You know, I caution you from feeling like, oh, when I start to bend back, I need to like touch the floor and make it look at any particular way, right? But really the game and the point of curiosity is, okay, when I move back a little bit like this, how can I support it back in the other direction, right? It's always kind of what it comes down to. And more specifically, what is happening to my spine? How can I reinforce and support this and return to center in all these different shapes? Okay, cool, fantastic, thumbs up. All right, let's get started. All right, so for today, we'll need our 2 blocks, okay? There are multiple positions again with our blocks. I would like us to start with 1 block on the lowest height, right? So it's on the flattest position. And you're gonna put this the long way so that it kind of tees and parallels your spine, right? So the block is on the long way on the flattest side. The second block you're gonna take is gonna be on the second height, right? The second tallest position. And then it's gonna be parallel to your spine. So it's gonna run up and down or the same direction as your spine. The other one is going to cross your spine. The one that's on the higher height is going to run parallel to the spine. Okay, so then now the setup here, it's going to take a little bit of kind of finagling and adjusting, right? Oftentimes we won't get it right or comfortable the first time around. So let's kind of just get into the general vicinity of it. And then from there, I'll give you a couple pointers of things to adjust. And things to kind of get a sense and feel for, right, when we're in this position. So we're going to be in a supported reclined position. The high one is going to be at the back of your head, right at the back of your head. And then the second one that's on the floor, that's flattest, is going to go the top tip of it. I want it to we'll start right around the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, right? So, the feeling here is, right, you're going to go ahead and lie yourself down. We want to make sure that, you know, we get it as close to what makes sense to us as possible, right? And I know that maybe it doesn't make any sense. You don't know what you're looking for, but okay. So when we get here, I'll try to kind of describe what we're aiming for, right? So go ahead and lie down. You have the tall one here in the back of your head. Okay. And then you're going to take your fingers on that block and then just kind of scoot it upwards away from your head. And what will happen is here, your head will start to kind of drop or roll forward. Your chin will start to drop into your chest a little bit. And that's what we're looking for. Okay. And then now here with the block that's in your upper back, okay, around the shoulder blades, you want to get a sense that your chest is going up right at the top of your chest, right? More in the upper part, closer to the clavicle or your collarbone, and not so much your bottom ribs popping up, right? And you kind of feel this in your lower back. If the block is too low, right, you'll feel like your lower back is arching a lot. If it's too high, you'll feel like your lower back is going into flexion, right? Or your pelvis is tucking too much. Right, so make any of those adjustments, slide the block up and down, get your head on that high block and then slide it back a little bit. And it'll start to pull the back of your head away from your feet. Okay, cool. And then once you kind of get that, we'll start with the knees bent, feet on the floor. And then you're just going to go ahead and take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Right? And then just let your eyes now soften and relax.
Keep them fixed on something nice and easy on the ceiling. We'll take 2 breaths, 2 opening breaths. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. Let's do that one more time. Through the nose. And out of the mouth. Let's go ahead and close the eyes, everybody. Take a moment here, just gauge and sense your surroundings through your senses. Right? Notice sounds. Notice them come and go. And allow them to be integrated into your practice. Now draw your attention to the sensation of touch, right? Notice your head on the block, your shoulder blades, your arms on the ground, your hips, your feet. And then just take a slower scan, right? Starting from the top of your head and then traveling down your body towards your feet. Once you've gone, taken an overview of the body, right, direct your attention back to the breath. And, you know, for some of us, this might be the first time we're ever laying supported this way, right? So acknowledge, right? Acknowledge that change and how that is adjusting, right, and shifting the breath. And it's going to be different for everybody, but can you sense here the ribs expanding as you inhale? And then as you exhale, there's kind of a softening of the ribs. And maybe you feel it in your belly, and there's a slight rolling and rocking of the hips. And wherever it is, just notice the breath, just for a few more cycles. Allow here the chest to soften and relax. The inner thighs, your groins to relax. Begin to imagine here, right, in your mind, that the chest and the knees, the top of your knees, right, are peaks of a mountain peaks. And at the top of the peaks, right, that there's snow. But just like our current state, right, it's spring. So the snow is beginning to melt. And then trickling down here across your chest, down your armpits, across your biceps, like a little river through your arms and creating a little lake puddling there in your palms. Likewise, the thighs, the legs are relaxed, the snow is melting, creating little rivers down your thighs, and then puddling in your hips like a lake. The thighs softening and sinking to the bottom of that reservoir, right? Your hip socket. Good. And then now from here, we're going to go ahead and move slowly. The movement familiar, but in a different position. When you're ready, you're just going to go ahead and straighten your left leg on the floor. And then straighten your right leg on the ground. Just for a moment, let your legs be at attention, right? So you're kind of drawing the legs nice and straight. Toes are pointing up, especially your second big toe, right, pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And then just take a couple moments here to notice what changed here, right? Aside from the very obvious, the legs are straight. What happened to the pelvis? What happened to the lower back? How does this change and impact the direction of your breath? Maybe the answer for you in this moment is you can inhale a little bit easier. Maybe it's a little bit more challenging, right? Maybe ever so slightly more challenging to exhale. Or it could be the opposite, right? But the idea is we're looking. Good. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and slowly begin to bend the knees, drag the heels on the mat until the feet are flat back on the floor and the knees are completely bent. All right, and then just pause there again for a moment. Allow your body to adjust. Right? Aside from the obvious things that are shifting and changing about the legs, what happened to the rest of the spine? Great. And then now from here, I want you to walk your feet a little bit closer together. Big toes touching, separation in the heels. Okay? And then we're just going to move very slowly with a breath. You're going to inhale, begin to straighten your legs on the floor, dragging the heels on the ground. And then as you exhale, push your heels out into the floor and then drag your feet across the mat. Feel your hamstrings engaging all the way on that exhale. Good, let's do that 2 more times. Inhale to straighten at the knee. Dragging the heels on the floor, pull your toes back. Exhale, slide the heels on the floor. Feel your calves, feel your hamstring working as a result of this action. Last time, inhale. Exhale. All right, so hopefully you'll notice now when you begin to straighten the legs, the bowl begins to tilt forward, exaggerated, right? So we're slowly starting to straighten the leg again. And the bowl of your pelvis is rolling down towards your hips. Keep your legs straight now. As you exhale, I want you to engage your belly and then extend your tailbone down to your heels. Almost as if you're going to bend your knees again, right? But your hips are just rocking back to center. Good. You should feel a nice, good, stable pelvis here like this. And then now from here, when you're ready, you're going to circle and spin your arms all the way up over your head. And then as you exhale, just like in movement principle number 4, press now your bottom ribs into the block. Yeah. And then from there, everybody reach your arms straight up towards the ceiling. You're going to now hook your thumbs together, squeeze your armpits, point your elbows towards your feet. And then we'll take this slowly, right? As you inhale, fingertips reach up just a little bit, right about your eyebrows. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone to the heels, push the ribs down into the block. And then you do that about 2 to 3 breaths, lifting the arms up a little bit more. Sending the tailbone down to the heels, spiral your inner thighs down to the floor. Inhale, reaching. Let the collarbone slide up towards the chin. Exhale, lengthen the back of your body. Last breath here. Arms by the ears, maybe a little bit past that. Remember, you're not trying to jam the arms down to the floor, just kind of hovering by the ears. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone. Good. And then from here, unhook your thumbs, spin your palms in towards each other. Take another breath. And then as you exhale, you're going to cactus your arms out to the sides, right? You're going to create field goal posts with your arms. Good. We'll try that a couple more times. Inhale, stretch the arms up over your head. Collarbone rises. Chin softly greets the collar. Exhale, cactus the arms. Last time. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Remember to stabilize your hips, drop the thighs, lengthen the tailbone. Exhale, cactus your arms. Good, keep your arms cactus. Imagine you're holding water bottles in your hands with the cap off, right? On your next inhale, try to spill the water here by your ears. Try to lift your elbows higher up than your hands. Your thumbs will begin to spin down towards the floor. Good. Keep them spinning. As you exhale, press your bottom ribs back down into the block. Keep your legs engaged. One more breath like that. Inhale, try to spiral your elbows up towards the ceiling. Exhale, press your bottom ribs into the floor or into the block. Perfect, everybody. Good. And then everybody inhale, reach the arms back up overhead. And then exhale, big circle out to the sides. Hands come back by your thighs. And then let your shoulder blades relax. Let your legs soften. Let them spin out. Take an easy breath here. Okay, good. And then let's go ahead and rebend the knees, feet on the floor. As little amount of movement as possible. You're going to take your block that's on your head, lift your head a little bit, and then just flip it all the way down to the lowest height, right? So then the block now that's on your head and on your shoulder blades are on the same height. Take your arms back down by your sides. Adjust your shoulders if you need to. So you again, investigate. Good. And then now from here, just a couple breaths. Right? For some, it might feel like your head just dropped an entire floor down, right? But just sense here, imagine that really your head is at the same height as your chest. Right? So allow yourself to adjust a little bit here. And then when you're ready, we'll go through that similar sequence. Same sequence with the legs. Inhale, straighten the legs, drag the heels on the floor. And for now, just kind of let the hips rock forward and back. Drag the knees back to bent, heels dragging on the floor. Right. 2 more times. Straighten the legs. And then just relax. You'll feel your hips kind of turn towards the feet. When you bend the knees, you'll feel the thighs sink into the hips. And then the pelvis rocks towards the face. Last time. Try that out. Right? So noticing that what we're doing with our thighs creates a change in the hips, which ripples throughout the entire spine, right? Next time you inhale, straighten the legs, big toes touching, push the heels down into the floor, feel your calves engaging, engage your belly, lengthen the tail towards the heels. All right, and then now from here, stretch your arms straight back up towards the ceiling, hook your thumbs together, and then we'll play that game. Hug the armpits in, inhale, bring the arms up a little bit. Exhale, press the bottom ribs, but also lengthen your tailbone towards the heels. Engage your calves. Good. Arms reach up a little bit more. Engage your calves. Imagine you're trying to separate your heels apart, but they're roped around together. Right? About 2 more breaths like this. Each inhale, you lift the arms up a little bit more. Allow the breath to fill your collarbone and allow your head to kind of drop to meet that chest. All right, last breath here. Arms all the way by the ears, as close as you can get them. Exhale, bottom ribs stitch in. Good. Unhook your thumbs. Take 1 more inhale. Spread your fingers. Reach and beam through the tips of your hands. Then as you exhale, palms face up, cactus the arms up. 2 more times like that. Inhale, reach up overhead, palms spin in. Or face each other. Then as you exhale, cactus, palms face up towards the ceiling. right? So we're already exploring this back bend. We've been in a back bend for the last 10 minutes. Arms reach up. You got it, good. And then exhale, cactus, cactus, cactus your arms. Good, now stay there, re-engage the thighs, lengthen the tailbone, push the heels down into the floor. On your next inhale, bottles of water, elbows lift up. Keep the elbows lifting, exhale, press your ribs in, push the heels down, and engage the tailbone down to the heels. One more breath like that. Inhale, lift the elbows. Exhale, lengthen the lower back out of the spine. Or lengthen the tailbone out of the lower back. Excellent, good. And then everybody inhale, stretch the arms back up over your head. Exhale, arms circle down by the sides. Let them flatten to the floor. Let your legs just kind of flop out to the sides. Take a couple easy breaths. Very good. All right, and then now from here again, everybody, bend your knees, feet on the floor. You're gonna lift your left arm up over your head, right? And then turn yourself onto your side over to the left side. So we're gonna land on our side with the knees bent, rest your head on your arm. Give your spine a couple of moments here just to adjust from being in that flex, or excuse me, extended position. Couple easy breaths, allow the breath to travel up and down the spine. And then when you're ready, push your hands down into the floor, sit yourself up, and then we'll go ahead and take those blocks towards the front end of our mat. Yeah. And then come onto hands and knees. We'll continue to warm up the entire spine. So there's a couple conventional cat-cows here. Squeeze the arms in, knees right underneath the hips. And then already here, before we start moving the spine, notice that the simple direction here, the thighs, it's already pushing up into the thighs, right? If you just kind of dump into it, your butt will already immediately point up to the ceiling, right? So that's the descending of the femurs without even really kind of doing anything, right? Good, and then a couple cat-cows, everybody. Inhale, pull the collar forward, pull your face straight back, don't knock the head back. And as you exhale, push down into the floor. Take it easy these first couple of rounds. Right, we were just in flexion, or excuse me, extension for a while. We'll go back and forth. Right, inhale. Exhale. Inhale into extension. Exhale right into cat. And take your time, about 2 or 3 more. Good, last time. Great, everybody tuck your toes. Inhale, open up the front of your body. Then as you exhale, drive the thighs back, lengthen the tailbone out of the low back. Inhale, now hover the knees off the floor. Exhale, draw the belly into the spine, lengthen the tail out of the low back. You're gonna take one more inhale. Then as you exhale, slide your butt up towards your heels, lift the hips up, downward facing dog. Remember, it's our first time, so slide the feet back just a little bit, give you a little bit more space there at the front of the hips. Bend the elbows a little bit, everybody, and then hug the armpits into the sides of your face. Keep that engagement now. Begin to push the elbows straight once again. And let the head hang between the arms. All right, one more full breath here. Good. And then now from here, everybody, inhale to forward into plank. About 3, 4 breaths here. Spin the inner heels away from each other. Squeeze the inner thighs in. Lift the thigh bones straight up into the hips, right? So that's what we're working on. Collar lifts. Slowly beginning to wake up the belly, the core, to reinforce and support our back bends as we move through the class. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Lift a little bit more dynamically now. Inhale, everybody tip forward into plank. Find a little bit of a cow here, or excuse me, cat, and then rock it back, right? So about 2 or 3 more times like that, just shifting forward and back, moving with your breath. And last time. Good. And then now from here, everybody step your feet a little bit closer together. Your big toes are touching one another. Drive the knees forward, right? So press the top of your calves forward. It's very different from saying just bend your knees, right? You're actively pushing your calves towards the front of your hands, towards your hands. Good. And then everybody tip forward back into plank. Lift and draw the navel away from the floor. And then from here, everybody lift your left foot just a little bit off the floor, right? I can barely tell that you're doing that. Keep spinning the inner thighs in, lengthening the tail out the low back. 2 more breaths. Squeeze the arms in, point your elbows towards your feet. Good, and then set your left foot back down to the floor. All right, when you're ready, hover the right foot. 3 breaths. Excellent. 1 more inhale. And then release the foot to the floor. Lift the hips back up, downward facing dog. Separate the feet out a little bit. Spread your toes. Drive the backs of the knees forward. Good. And from here, everybody inhale, balls of the feet. Exhale, look forward. Step your left foot to your wrist. Bring your right knee down to the floor. Squeeze the legs together. And then come on up. We're going to go ahead and take our hands out in front, hook your thumbs. All right, keep squeezing the inner thighs together on your next inhale. Hands are about as high as your eyeballs. And then tuck the tailbone. Good, again, inhale, lift a little bit higher. Tuck the tailbone. Good, on this next inhale, arms reach back by the ears. And then tuck the tailbone. Find that return to center. Good. Unhook your thumbs. Palms spin in towards each other. Exhale now. Cactus your arms. All right. 2 more times like that. Inhale, reach the arms up. Cactus the arms. 1 more time. Reach up. And then cactus your arms. Imagine you have those water bottles. Now inhale, spin your thumbs behind you. Press your elbows forward. Then exhale, lengthen your tailbone down to the floor. All right, try that 1 more breath. Inhale, reach the elbows forward. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone down to the floor. You feel this especially in that right leg, right? And then now from here, you're gonna bring your fingertips behind your head. Inhale, press your head very softly into your fingertips. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone down to the ground. Good. 1 more breath like this. Inhale, press the fingertips, head into the fingertips. Lengthen the tailbone down to the floor. Good. On your next inhale, stretch and reach your hands straight back. Point your thumbs down to the floor. Lengthen the tailbone to the ground. Good. Now bring the hands down to the floor. Step your left foot back, downward facing dog. Smooth out the breath. When you're ready, balls of the feet. Exhale, step right foot forward, left knee to the mat. Squeeze and hug the legs in, back toes remain tucked. Take your arms out in front, switch the hook of your fingers, right? If you had the left on top, switch it to the other side. Inhale, fingers lift a little bit. Exhale, tuck the tailbone. Then inhale, lift. Exhale, tuck your tailbone. All right? Inhale, it's very easy just to kind of flop yourself forward. This thigh bone's getting pressed to the front. Engage and draw the belly in. There you go, good. Arms are all the way up, unhook your thumbs. Exhale, cactus the arms. 2 more times like that. Arms reach up by the ears. Feel the collarbone lifting. Exhale, cactus. Last time. Nice and easy. Cactus those arms. Good. 2 times. Water bottles. Inhale. Draw the tailbone down to the floor. Press your ribs into the spine. Last time. Inhale. Elbows hook forward. Try to spill the water bottles behind you. Bottom ribs hug in. Good. And then everybody inhale, reach the arms back up. Exhale, fingertips touch here in the back of your head. Elbows stay wide. Inhale, press your head back into your fingertips. Exhale, curl the tailbone down. Return to center. Last time, inhale. And it doesn't really have to be super hard. You'll feel when you inhale, the head softly presses into the fingers. Good. Keep that. On your next inhale, reach your hands all the way back. Good. Exhale, put your hands back on the floor. Step your right foot back. That's downward facing dog. Steady the breath. Good. Inhale, balls of the feet. Exhale, left foot forward, right knee comes down. This time, everybody inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, cactus your arms out. Inhale, reach the hands back up. Exhale, back to that cactus. Inhale, water bottles. Exhale, bottom ribs hug in. Turn the tailbone to the floor. Good. Inhale, reach the arms back up. Exhale, fingertips in the back of the head. Inhale, press your head softly back. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone of the floor. Good. Inhale, stretch and reach like you're going to reach back and touch your right heel. Then exhale, put your hands back down on the floor. Step it back, downward facing dog. Balls of the feet. Step your right foot through, bring the left knee down to the floor. Arms reach up, inhale. Little cactus. Arms come back up. Cactus. Good, water bottles. Reinforce. Tailbone goes down. Good, arms stretch back up. Exhale, fingertips, back of the head. Inhale, let the head pull softly back into your fingers. Exhale, bottom ribs hug in. Good, now keep this head pulling back, arms reach back like you're gonna touch your left heel. Put your hands down on the floor. Everybody step forward and fold. Good, push your hands into your shins. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, forward fold all the way to the ground. Good, everybody inhale, stand all the way up, reach your arms to the sky. Then from here, arms in the sky, exhale, cactus your arms up. Gotta adjust my camera. Right, from there, inhale, stretch arms back up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus one more time. Right, good. Inhale, spin your thumbs behind you, water bottles. Keep those thighs going downward or into the spine. Great, and then inhale, reach back up. Exhale, fingertips in the back of the head. And then feel here in your Tadasana, when you inhale, the head draws back and the collarbone rises into the chin. Good, arms stretch back up, inhale. Exhale, down to the floor. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, step it back, plank. Let's inhale in that plank. Exhale, knees to the floor. Point your elbows back towards your heels. Slowly lower chin, chest, belly. Point your toes back. Engage your calves. Push the knees down into the floor. Inhale. Pull your face straight up off the ground like you're softly pressing your head back into your hands. And then slowly lower to the ground. Good. 2 more times. Cobra, Bhujangasana, lift. Exhale, touch it back down. Last time, inhale. Forehead to the mat. Let's tuck those toes. Inhale, push back towards child's pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Steady your breath, about 3 to 5 breaths here. Relax your jaws. Steady the eyes between the feet. On the next inhale, balls of the feet. Look forward. Step. Top of your mat. Press the hands to the shins. Everybody inhale. Half. Forward fold. Exhale. Full forward fold to the floor. Good. Let's stand all the way up. Arms reach. Inhale. Exhale. Cactus your arms out. Inhale. Now spill the water bottles behind you. Exhale, press the tailbone down to the floor. Good. Inhale, now reach the fingertips straight back. Don't thrust the thighs forward, keep pressing them back. And then exhale, fold back down to the floor. Half forward fold. Pull the face away from the ground. Good. Hands on the mat. Step it back. Plank. Take your time. Hug the elbows in. Lower to the ground. With or without the knees on the mat. 2 times here. Point the toes back. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to the ground. Spin your pinky toes down into the floor. 1 more. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Lengthen the tailbone away from the low back. Toes tuck. Inhale towards child's pose. Downward facing dog. All right. Descend those femurs. Hook them up into your hips. As you exhale, engage a bit of your belly. Feel the tailbone lengthening out of the lower back. All right, last time, when you're ready, balls of the feet. On the bottom of your exhale, step or jump, top of your mat. Half forward fold. Full fold, everybody. Exhale. There you go. Let's stand up, arms stretch up overhead. Exhale, cactus your arms. Good. Fingertips behind the head. Or excuse me, inhale, water bottles. Right? Water bottles behind the back. Exhale, press your thighs back. Lengthen your tailbone to the floor. Good. And then fingertips back of the head. Inhale, lean your face back. Don't tilt the head back. Don't lift the chin. Just pull your chin straight back. Exhale, draw the thighs in towards the hips. Good. Next inhale, reach your fingers behind you. Exhale, fold it down to the floor. Engage your belly. Half forward fold, everybody. Inhale. Plant your hands. Plank. Lower to the ground. 1 time. Point the toes back. Inhale, cobra. Exhale back to the floor. Tuck your toes. Inhale back. Exhale, down dog. All right, 5 breaths, everybody. Each time you inhale, no matter how subtle, can you feel your hips, right? Your tailbone is kind of sweeping up towards the ceiling. Then as you exhale, there's a slight, subtle curvature or tucking of the tailbone down to the heels. Very good. All right, knees are bent a little bit here. Look forward. Exhale, step your left foot to your wrist. Bring your right knee down to the floor. All right, and then now from here, we're going to go ahead and come on up. And we'll start with bringing our hands on our hips. Okay, so we got the left foot forward. Knee for now is directly underneath your hip, this right knee. Okay, good. And then with that, I want you to imagine that you're pulling a blanket, your hips, up towards your face. Right, so it's really going to tuck the tailbone. And for most of us already here like this, when you start to tuck the tailbone, you'll feel that stretch in the front of your right thigh. Okay, at the top of your right thigh. So keep that, and then from here, just go ahead and bend forward a little bit. Let your left knee go a little bit past your left foot, your left toes. Right, and as we continue to tuck the tailbone, you really feel this opening in your right groin. Good, and then slide the hips back, right over the right knee. Now you're gonna go ahead and bring your hands down on your blocks. Take your right knee and then scoot your right knee back just a little bit. So now it's just very slightly behind your right, the right side of your hip, right? When you come up right. Okay, so then now let's go ahead and swing the hips back again so it's right over the right knee, but it's definitely further back behind than our first position. Engage the tailbone, so return to center already. Pull the front of your hips up towards your face. And then now from here, just bend forward. Left knee moves towards the toes. Right, now you're going to really begin to feel this in your right thigh and your groin. Right, but it's super supporting. Right, otherwise, if you just let it go, your butt's going to fling back. Right, because your knee is going to begin to drag your thigh back, and the top of your thigh is going to press forward. So I want you to keep sucking your right thigh back into the hip. Excellent. Okay, good. And then rock your hips back over your knee. And then from here, just move the knee just a little bit back, right? So this will be our kind of last and third position of the right knee. Back toes are tucked under, right? Use those blocks to kind of help you out, and then come back up. So then now when I go back right over the right knee, it's clear definitely a little bit further back, okay? Engage in front of the hip, so draw the thigh bone back into your hip socket, curl the tailbone down towards the floor to engage your belly. And then now from here, bend forward and find that spot before your butt gets yanked back, right? You don't want to feel as if your thigh bone is getting pushed forward. You want to keep sucking it back into the hip socket. Toes are tucked, everybody. Fingertips out in front. Hook your thumbs together. Inhale, lift the arms up towards the sky. Engage the belly. Tuck the tailbone under. And then now from here, everybody, hover your right knee. Holy moly crap. Just a little bit off the floor. There it is. Good. Keep tucking down the tailbone, right? With the right knee bend, you can tuck the tailbone a little bit more. Pull the arms back. Good. Keep hugging the thighs together. And then from here, slowly begin to slide your right leg behind you. Don't let your butt get yanked back. Good. And then now from here, fingertips in the back of the head. Inhale, press the head softly into your fingers. Exhale, engage the front of the body. And then on your next inhale, reach your hands back, back, back. Like you're going to touch your right heel. Good. Hands out on the floor. Step or block. Step your right foot forward and fold. That's a big one. That's a pretty big back bend. Inhale, half fold. Exhale, full forward fold. Let's get our hands close to the floor or on a lower blocks, right? Step your feet back. downward facing dog. Couple easy breaths here. Notice left and right. Doing great, everybody, right? When you're ready, let's go ahead and slide the right foot forward. Bring the left knee to the ground. And then we'll use those blocks just to kind of help us out here. Left knee is directly underneath your hip. Right, where do you stand? So like if you were standing up, your leg would be, you'd be in Tadasana, literally from your left knee to the top of your head. So that's the idea that we're looking for. Back toes are tucked. Engage the tailbone or the pit of the belly to draw the tailbone down. And then from there, bend the right knee forward a little bit. Right, so then now the knee is starting to go behind the hip. We want to reinforce that return to center, right? So draw the tailbone onto the floor, and then you get a real true stretch here in the front of the left groin. Good, and then shift it back a little bit, and then scoot your left knee a little bit further back. Right, again, I didn't mention this on the right side or the other side, but if you need, it's helpful to just kind of fold your mat, right? If you need a little bit of a support there underneath the knee. All right, you can put a little padding there underneath. So now we have the knee a little bit further back. All right, we're going to come upright. Now the position of the knee starting behind. All right, so we'll shift the hips back a little bit so we're directly underneath it, above it again. Tuck the tailbone, and then slowly begin to bend forward once again. Right, so in back bends, if we allow it, the legs start to go behind us, and then the hips will spin forward, and then all of that effort will drop into the lower back, right? So especially for those people who are super bendy, you can like reach back, touch your feet, stuff like that, bring your leg over your head. This is extra good for you, right? To reinforce with the front of your body this position. All right, so then hands back on the block. Last time now, you're gonna scoot your knee even now further back. Keep your back toes tucked. Oh, I'm sweating so much. All right, I can't decide. I have my AC on, but it's like so cold, but I'm so sweaty. Right, push your back toes down into the floor. Then we're back up. Right, so here, if we let it, your butt can just kind of like fling back. Your thigh is going to get pressed forward. So let's put ourselves right back over that knee. Engage and curl the tailbone, and then slowly bend forward a little bit. All right, now back toes tucked, everybody. Arms reach up, hook your thumbs. Reach it up over your head, belly hugs in. Ready? Little bit lift of that back knee. With the knee bent very generously, pull the front of your belly up towards your face again. Good. Keep that, and then begin to straighten the left leg behind you. If your butt starts to get yanked back, you've gone too far. Just keep your knee bent. Good. Fingertips behind the head. Chin drops a little bit. Take a big inhale, lean the head back. On the next inhale, reach your hands back, back, back. And then hands come down onto the block. Step it forward and fold. Push hands to shins. Everybody inhale, half fold. Exhale, full forward, fold. Right, soften your knees. Let your arms dangle. Let your head relax. A couple easy breaths here. Good. On the next inhale, let's come back into the Ardha Uttanasana, half fold. You can use those blocks. And step the right foot back. And then bring the right knee back down to the floor. Right? With those back bends, your outer butt cheeks tend to work a lot, right, to stabilize the pelvis. Right? So now we're just going to create a little bit of release in the outer left leg. So then now from here, I want you to pigeon or parallel your left shin to the front of your mat. Back toes are tucked. And then just like again earlier, push your knee down into the floor, and then curl your tailbone. Right? It's easy here when you start to bring your leg back, your belly just flops forward, right? I want your belly to reinforce the curvature in your lower back. Otherwise, all of that pressure is going to dump into the low back. Right? So as we're bringing the leg behind us, we're engaging the front of the belly, dropping it or pressing it into the spine. Right? This is a lot. You can use the blocks here by your hands. Also, a suggestion here is to slide a block underneath your left butt cheek on the left side. If you have that second block, you can place it in the front of your right thigh. Right? If it's too much, you can walk your hands forward a little bit, and that should lessen the angle in the right hip. Right? But we want to kind of be able to support ourselves here in the outer left thigh. Right? If you need it, use those blocks, bring your hands to the floor. Couple easy breaths here. Right? And then now if you have your back toes tucked, go ahead and untuck them, point your toes, especially your big toes, point them straight back. Don't let the heel sickle. I'm going to keep the thigh neutral. Right. For our final back bend, it's a pretty big back bend. King pigeon, right? Ekapada, pigeon pose, right? King pigeon. So here in this pigeon pose, you're going to feel as if you're trying to pull your right knee forward, or you're trying to drag the knee forward, pull the left thigh back. You can stay here like this, or walk the hands back by your hips. Right? It's a tremendous back bend. You can stay here. If you're feeling stable, take your hands up off your floor or the block. Right? Pull the face back, backless the arms. Examine the breath. If it makes sense, imagine reaching your hands straight back, like you're going to grab hold of your right foot. Right? And that would be the full expression. Bend your knee, grab hold of the foot, and you're going to hold on to your foot. It's a very tremendous back bend. Right? But ask yourself, can you still have a conversation, or are you really straining? Good. And then just a couple easy breaths here. If you were up, come on down. You can stack your hands on the blocks. Rest your head on your hands, or bring your head to the block. All right, we'll be here just for another 3 breaths. Soften and relax your outer left hip. Excellent, good. And then now let's go ahead and bring the hands back down on the floor. Pick yourselves up off the ground. Tuck your back toes, slide your left foot back, downward facing dog. Good. When you're ready, set up your right leg forward. Keep your back toes tucked. Lead with your heel, right? Like you're trying to stamp your heel back. Don't let it sickle out to the sides. Really what we're looking for is a neutral thigh in the hip, right? If your heel starts to sickle out, that's internal rotation. If it starts to drop to the inner side, that's external, right? So we just want to keep it neutral, the thigh and the leg. Use those blocks. Again, not mandatory to come all the way up. All right, make the pose work for you. Really, primarily what we want to work on here is to create a little bit of ease and softness in the outer right hip. The hips work super hard, especially your glute medius, right, and back bends, just to kind of squeeze and stabilize the pelvis in place. All right, but if it makes sense to you, you feel nice and stable there in the hips, left knee's dragging forward, right thigh's plugging back, you can slowly walk your hands back. Right? You can also use those blocks. Support the front of the left thigh. You can sit on the block on the right sit bone. Right? And that kind of gives a nice big base there. If you create a nice good stable base, right? Everybody inhale, hook your thumbs, reach the arms up. Drop the tailbone. Engage your belly. Get really high and tall. Cactus those arms. Fill the water bottle. Fingertips back of the head. Face draws back. Hands reach back, back, back. Good, and then wherever you're at, walk your hands forward, find a little bit of a fold. Right? If it makes sense to continue to support those hips with the blocks, that often helps. Right? 3 more breaths. Find a place to rest your head. Good. And then press yourself up off the floor. Lift the left knee, step the right foot back. Last time through downward facing dog. Nice. Let's go ahead and bring the knees down to the floor. Take the legs out in front. And then go ahead and lie down on your back. Here on your back, right? Reach the arms up overhead, hook your thumbs together. Bring the knees in towards the chest, squeeze the inner thighs together. Straighten the legs up towards the sky. Point your toes up towards the ceiling, big toes touching, heels slightly apart. See if you can keep your lower back close to the ground here. In about the last minute, you're going to slowly begin to lower the legs down to the floor. Keep stretching through your fingers. Wrap your armpits in towards your face. Allow each inhale to wave the collarbone up towards your face. Slow, slow, slow. About 45 more seconds. Keep the lower back close to the ground. Keep reaching through your toes. Keep spinning the inner thighs in, engaging your belly, connecting the bottom ribs to the mat. About halfway there. Reach, reach, reach. 15 more seconds. Keep reaching. Reach to your arms. Squeeze your arms in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 2 again. Hover off the floor 1 second. And then release the legs to the ground. Take your arms by your sides. Take one last deep inhale through your nose. Close your eyes, sigh out of your mouth. And Shavasana, everybody. Allow the chest to relax. The hips. Nice, easy breath. Resist fidgeting around. Allow yourself to remain still. And when you're ready, take your right hand onto your belly, bring your left hand across your chest. Take 2 full breaths. When you're ready, stretch your arms up overhead. Draw the legs together, stretch through your legs. Bend the knees, roll over to your side, rest your head on your arm. Good, keeping those eyes closed, press the hand into the floor. Sit on up. If you have that block handy, lift your butt up and sit on it. Let's bring the arms down, our hands down towards the knees. Good. Hands touch together in front of the heart. Notice the change. Notice the one that's noticing. And here we are, everybody. Namaste.